Okay, try to imagine that you're an explorer, right? And you're in a party of you're in an exploration kind of party, and you've just landed on this island that nobody's ever been on before, and you're trekking through the woods. You got your machete and you're hacking at the undergrowth to make a path, and you hear these noises ahead, and they sound like voices, and you come through the trees and you find this rather large village of natives that have never seen anybody. They've never seen the outside world, and you're totally, oh wow, fascinated by this group of people that have never seen the outside world. And then you notice that there's this weird ritual going on in the middle of the village, and you're horrified because they're killing children. They're killing children as to give sacrifice to their god because they haven't been able to have any luck on the hunt, and the village is hungry, and they're malnourished, and they're trying to get food, and so they're giving a sacrifice to their god. And then you find out from just learning their language and getting to know them that this is something they do every week. It's just the thing they do every week to keep the hunts good, and thousands and thousands of children have died, and you're enraged, but you understand, that this is a different culture. But then the leaders of your group decide that these people are evil. They judge them to be evil and wicked, and they use their machetes on them. They kill the entire tribe, every man, woman, child, and baby, completely wipe out the entire tribe. Except they keep some young girls, some of the little girls that have never been with men. They think they pick out the pretty ones, and they it's like, well, here's some sport guys on the way back out to the boat. We can have a little fun with these girls. Maybe we can teach them our ways so they don't so they're okay. But you're like watching this, and you're like, you don't know what to do. You watch this mass slaughter, and you feel wrong about it, but you don't say anything because you're part of this group. But how do you feel? How do you feel? You just watched an entire village get wiped out by your peers, and some girls are being taken captive and are being marched out, the way you came through the woods, to be, probably raped repeatedly that night in front of a fire. How do you feel? I just had an email from somebody who tried to justify what happened to the girls, the Midianites, in Numbers. I believe it's Numbers 31, 7 through 18. I'm looking at this. They try to justify. First of all, God judged them to be evil, he says. Or wicked, whatever. First of all, if you find this village scenario that I've just mentioned on this island, wouldn't it be more of a good idea? I mean, wouldn't you think that if you found a group of people that are ignorant of the outside world, and this is how they've been living for thousands of years, first of all, who are you to judge them? That's a culture. Their society has been working successfully. They don't have they haven't been brought up the same as you. They don't think the same as you. Their gods are not the same as your gods. At the very if you're going to interfere with a society like that, wouldn't you at least try to teach them modern ways of, hunting, modern ways of growing food and supplying the village, so that the need for human sacrifice is no longer there? Wouldn't you try to educate them? I don't agree with what white settlers did with the Native Americans that were here before. I don't agree with forcing their religion down their throats, because they weren't, having human sacrifices or whatever. But I mean, wouldn't you at least, if you disapprove of another culture, wouldn't you at least try to work with that other culture and try to convert them or something, rather than just wipe them out, wholesale slaughter because of something that they can't help? They're ignorant of what you think of as right and wrong. They have been living for thousands of years the way they think things should be and what they think is right and wrong. You don't just wipe out a whole village of people, you know, because they're ignorant of what you think should be right and wrong. But here you have the Midianites, who the Lord has judged to be wicked. First of all, the Midianites don't know this Israel God. They don't know the Lord. This God, this Lord, has never walked among the Midianites. I'm probably saying that wrong. He's never walked among them, has never tried to teach them his ways. He's a tribal God of Israel. His only interest is Israel. All these other tribes, all these other villages, not his concern. And yet he can judge them as wicked, even though they've never had a choice but to be what they are. They've never had a choice between their ways and God's ways. They were never even instructed on God's ways. They don't know God's ways. They don't know God's laws. God has only presented his laws to the Israelites, not to the Midianites or all the other ites that crossed the path of the soldiers of Israel, just Israel. So these guys are completely ignorant of God's ways. They're completely ignorant of God's laws. Yet God has judged them to be wicked. What other state of existence, I mean, if you want to use God's idea of what is morality, what choice do these guys have? They haven't had any other instruction. They only know their ways. Yet, you know, God thinks it's okay to wipe them out, every last one of them. He doesn't command the Israelites to go into their village and try to teach them to, you know, God's ways and try to convert them and try to make them good. Yet they're just wicked. You know, their God was, you know, whatever. So it's okay to wipe them out, and it's okay to take as spoils of war the young virgin girls. And I'm thinking these are very young girls because this is the Middle East, and girls aren't virgins very long in the Middle East. So I'm thinking these are children who have just watched their entire world destroyed, their entire family get destroyed. God in his mercy saves these pure little innocent children to be raped repeatedly by the soldiers of Israel. Here's another little example of the same kind of thing. Deuteronomy 20:10-14. As you approach a town to attack it, first offer its people terms for peace. If they accept your terms and open the gates to you, then all the people inside will serve you in forced labor. But if they refuse to make peace and prepare to fight, you must attack the town. That when the Lord your God hands it over to you, kill every man in the town, but you may keep for yourselves all the women, children, livestock, and other plunder. You may enjoy the spoils of your enemies that the Lord your God has given you. Isn't it special how God treats women? Women are just spoils of war, you know. It's okay to rape women, sure. Yep, anyway, I can feel a huge rant coming on. I just have a hard time understanding how any good person can justify a monster, which is what this God is. So, if you've been watching, thanks. Bye.